So we had done till the verse number 11, and in these few verses in the beginning, Bhagavan is sort of elaborating regarding why it's so difficult to know him. Why is it so challenging for us human beings? Even though we are religious, even though we may have aspirations, we may have total dedication, we find it very difficult to realize that divinity, to have witness of God. Why is that? Bhagavan has kind of mentioned in the beginning, first 11 slokas. It's not so easy to understand it. Remember that he's sort of repeating what he has explained in the first several chapters, especially 7, 8, and 9. And he's saying that I am such a person. I mean, not I'm not a person actually. I'm that infinite truth, and therefore even the gods, the angels, and the great monks, they do not know me. They cannot know me. Why? Because I am always there. They are born and they die. I mean, they are all Abrahma Bhuvanal Lokaha. They are all Punaravartis. They all come and go. They don't know because I'm Azam and Anadim. And asamudha samartyeshu savarpapahi pamuchyate. The one who can know me is in according to exactly my nature. The one who can sort of open his or her eyes to grasp my reality will be truly liberated. And then he sort of mentions, as we discussed yesterday, that even different subjective realities, different states of mind and consciousness that we see on earth taking material forms. Like you have a poetic emotion, you produce a poetry, you have a creative emotion, you produce a piece of sculpture or art or painting. So all these Bhagavan is saying these are all manifestation of that fundamental truth that I am. Try to understand this. Even compassion. So many charities are there. These charities are surviving because there is something called Daya Sakti. There is Kshama. And then there are so many institutions to take care of old people. So where is it coming from? It's all out of that Kshama and Daya and stuff like that. And Bhagavan saying, I'm the origin of all that. So both the material realities as well as the subjective, the conscious aspects of whatever you see and describe as a material, it's me. And if you look at all these human races or groups of people who describe themselves by referring to different nationalities, social identities, they all, to start with, as per our theological tradition, they sort of started with the Manus, and then earlier the seven great monks or the Maharshis. But they are also having me as the origin because they sort of come through Prajapati, but I am the father of all. And then he's saying that etam vibhuti yogam cha mama yo vitti tattvata. And those who know this greatness of mine and this vibhuti that I create, this multiple manifestations of that one single reality called Brahman or Parameshwara or Krishna, whatever, they can actually meditate on me without any distractions or perturbations, without any kind of hesitation, without any interruption in their meditation. Why? They shall be free from doubt and false understanding. Sansaya and a viparyaya. Viparya is mithya jnana. Sansaya is doubt. These are the two things other than Vishaya Vasana, getting attracted towards samsara. These are three, four things which keep us confused all the time. Bhagavan says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. I am the beginning of all. Everything starts with me. Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. The intelligent ones, they know this, that whatever is happening out of me, they don't get attracted because they know I am the origin of all this. मच्चिदामद्गत प्राणा बोधयन्ता परस्परम कथयन्तं च mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So what happens if a person is able to concentrate on me? Happiness is not denied. We might think the person who sort of goes to God leads a very boring life. No, he's actually very happy because what we normally call and describe as happiness is actually full of pain. Well, once a person turns inward and makes a movement towards that permanent source of truth, that truth which has no name and form, has no beginning and end, and there is no fear, there is no anxiety, Because getting that, you get everything. That's what the Vedas say. Tesam satata yuktanam. And those sort of people who are sitting quietly in meditation, but having realized, having practiced all that I have told you in great lectures in chapter 6 as to how to sit and meditate, that sort of yoga who are doing satata yuktanam bhadatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam. I give them that intelligence. What kind of intelligence? Which they can use that particular, who can use that intelligence, that buddhi. And what kind of buddhi? That tattva darsana, samyak darsana, comprehensive understanding of who I am. They'll get that. And with that help, with that tattva darshana, they'll continue to meditate on me. And as a result, they'll fast come closer to me. And then what I will do, I'll remove the darkness from their soul, from their darkness, from their heart. What sort of darkness? The darkness born out of ignorance. So, ignorance is the mother of all darknesses. And I'll basically remove the vija, the source, the seed of all pain and frustrations in your life. When he's saying, if somebody is a bright boy, he comes to me, I give him a gold medal. The teacher is actually hinting that he wants to give you the gold medal, provided you are good enough to fulfill his aspirations and demands. And whatever he prescribes for you is something that you should do as a student. That's what a good teacher does, isn't it? Then you get excited. He says, Sir, you think I can do it? You want to try? He'll not say you do it. He's an intelligent teacher. He smiles and says, You want to try? Yeah, I mean, why not? You can try. Maybe you can get it. And then I don't have to look for a bright student to give this gold medal. Maybe it's meant for you. And then you're jumping and you're very excited, you want to do it. That's what Bhagavan is doing to Arjuna. Tesam eva anukampartham, only in order for expressing my love and compassion to them, in order to endow them with this blissful existence, to do that anukampa to them, to give them that grace. Ajnanazam tamaha, I destroy that darkness. Nasayami, and what sort of deepena? Jnana deepena, atma bhavasto jnana deepena. If somebody is sort of, that means that I remove the ignorance, not with the help of an external lamp as Lord Vishnu, but in their own mind, their own consciousness, which sort of rises up in terms of how clean and clear it is, how much it is focused on me. Then by very nature, those who you are, most of you are science background. So how the nuclear reactor sort of gets started, we know about the half-life, isn't it? So once the process is triggered very quickly, it reaches that critical stage, then anything can happen, isn't it? You have to reach till that point. Similarly, when the process is initiated and started in our hearts, in our consciousness, with our own efforts, with the help of our past punyas, past sukritas, as they say, and with God's grace. And God's grace is nothing but a dividend on our bhakti, and our bhakti is nothing but God's grace. These are all interrelated. Bhagavan said all this, isn't it? So he's saying, so the darkness is removed, and I light up their consciousness. I remove all darkness. So Arjuna says, okay, why don't you light up my darkness now? He's an intelligent student. So he immediately understood Bhagavan is mentioning all this, but these are very difficult concepts that I have to know him tattvataha. So it's a very tall order of things. What is that tattva? I have not fully understood it. He's saying that for my anukampa, in order to benefit him, benefit me, in order to give me a concession, he is going to tell me what is that Atma Tattva. He mentioned it in chapter 7, 8, and 9. I haven't till now understood it properly. That is why this 10th chapter is called, this Vibhuti Yoga. Arjuna is very, very intelligent. So he has already acted very smart in chapter 2, He tried to argue with Bhagavan what is dharma, why he should not fight with his teachers and elders, forget about earth even for Swarga Sukha, he doesn't want to kill anyone. And he brought in a lot of philosophical and ethical questions, making Krishna laugh because He was doing all this to avoid his own duty, and he was scared because Lord Krishna had not brought him there. It was he himself who came to the warfield. He had invited, he had sort of requested an appeal and pledged, "O Lord Krishna, please be my advisor, be my charioteer." That's how Lord Krishna has come, isn't it? He has come as his sense of discrimination. And that same guy is now giving a long speech to his own teacher, and therefore Bhagavan laughed. He said, "Why are you behaving like this?" And then there was a bit of dialogue. And Arjuna realized, no, no, I'm not actually educated. I had a pretension that I knew everything. Truth of the matter is that I'm a fool. And therefore, it's important for me. He had done that already. He had once said, "Oh Lord, you are my teacher. Please teach me. Whatever you tell, I'm going to follow." That's he has done it. That's how the dialogue started. Now he is doing that ultimate surrender as a wiser student because he has already listened to all these five, six chapters, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. So he's heard all these chapters. He's wiser, having heard another long seven chapters full of advice and philosophy and concepts about what is samsara, what is jiva, what is atma, why we see this whole reality as real fundamentally, whether actually it's not fundamentally real. It is only phenomenally real. It is a phenomenal reality. He has got a few tricks, but he doesn't think he has comprehensively understood what Bhagavan has said. Therefore, like some of the times you will find intelligent students act a little foolish and they ask very preliminary questions to make the teacher do a revision so that they benefit. So they will act they have not understood it, isn't it? So what Arjuna is doing here is very interesting. It's very loving. As a good student, he is now telling Bhagavan, in this whole end, he will say, "O Lord, you are saying the gods and the Maharshis, the great saints, the monks, who are doing hell of a lot of sadhana in the jungles, in the caves, in Swargaloka. They are subtle bodies, they have no weaknesses of kama, krodha. We are poor, inferior, tiny human beings. Then you are saying, I can know you. The Maharshis and the gods don't know me, but you can know me because I'll have compassion for you. I'll tell you what it is. Then have that compassion. If you have promised you're going to give it to me, please speak in a language which is easy for me to grasp and understand, and is easy for me to meditate on you because you are saying that meditate on me. We already know that for meditation, Nirupadhika satta is difficult to capture and meditate. That's for vichara. When you have already kind of made your mind sharper, it's become subtler. It's able, if you have a net which has big holes, can you sort of, if you want to say, you can't catch fish, small fish you can't catch. You need a net for different kind of fish, and this is very shukshma. So the net you need to use has to be accordingly made. He doesn't think his mind has become that sort of a chunni or that sort of a net where he can actually harvest the truth. He cannot harvest the truth in the sea of ignorance. It's very difficult. So in this verse, he's using whatever Bhagavan has told about himself so far to counter question Bhagavan in these seven slokas, starting with 12 till 18. He will describe Bhagavan as Bhagavan has mentioned what he is and say, "Oh Bhagavan, you are like this, you are saying this, you are saying this. And you have also told me that the Devatas and Maharshis do not understand you. It is very difficult. Now tell me, how can I understand you? Why don't you give me some props, some easy ways in which I can visualize you and I can do? How does this whole samsara manifest? You mention all that. Much of it sort of went over my head. That's what happens in the initial classes when you enter a new course. The professor comes and is giving a wonderful speech. You like it, and you think you have understood it. But the moment you are outside the class and another fellow student asks you, "Oh, you understand what did he say today?" "Yeah, I liked it, but I have also not fully understood. I understood a couple of things, but okay, then tell me what is that?" And then you start fumbling because you haven't fully grasped it. And that's what has happened to Arjuna. So it's a beautiful dialogue, and the real dialogue between a student and a teacher kind of starts now. He has already asked what such a question. If you remember, he had asked in sixth chapter. He said, "My God, you are saying I have to meditate like this, but this mind all the time runs around with thoughts, with ideas, and it drives me away all around. And these desires, these temptations are like criminals. They attack me, they attack my consciousness. Oh Lord, how do I meditate?" You are talking about meditation? I can't even sit quietly for 5 minutes. He had asked that question. And he's interestingly asking something similar here from a different standpoint. So today we will do 3 verses and we'll do the rest for tomorrow, on Monday. So in the 3 verses, it's sort of he is kind of broadly repeating what Bhagavan has himself narrated about himself to him in the last previous chapters. In a way, he is trying to hint to the teacher that he has made all efforts to understand what he has been told. Now, there are some good teachers. I remember I had one professor in Delhi University. He's in heaven now. Professor K.K. Mishra was a wonderful person. He was teaching in Hindu college. So he was doing one course with us. So when I go to him, I was the only teacher student actually in that course. It was the course not too many people opted for. So when I'll go, what I'll will be sitting in a park, what he'll do is, he said, "Okay, so what did you learn so far?" So he'll make you speak for 30 minutes, and then he'll make some additions to what you have already captured, and then he'll give another short lecture on the ongoing chapter, and he'll hand you over some material. He said, "Okay, now you have a look at it. We have had a discussion. So you're supposed to read another 100 pages of some material I'll give you." And next class, he said, "So what did you understand?" So, this was a 6 months course, but we actually finished in exactly 45 days because it was so wonderful. Because you work, you go to him, he makes you speak, he knows these are the things I don't have to repeat. He only tells you what is relevant. He adds certain new concepts, gives you more material. That's what Bhagavan. Arjuna is now giving some idea to Lord Krishna, what he has understood about this Paramartha Tattva, this Brahma, that Tattva Padatha. What is it? So he starts saying, "Arjuna Ubacha, Param Brahma Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, Purusham Saswatam Divyam, Adi Deva Madam Vibhum, Ahu Swam Rishayah Sarve, Devarshir Naradat Tatha, Asito Devalo Vyasah, Swayam Seva Brabhishime, सर्वमेतद्रितं मन्ये यन्मां वदसि केशव न हि ते भगवान् व्यक्तिं विदुर्देवानदानवाः." Now we will stop here. We'll do the rest tomorrow. What is he saying? The initial meaning of these words before we go to the commentaries. He's saying, "I know, O Lord, you are the Param Brahma." Okay? What is he looking at? He's looking at a human being before him. Who is he? Vasudeva Krishna. Can a human being be Param Brahma? No. Why? Because he's a Deha Vachinna Vyakti. He has a body. Param Brahma doesn't have a body. Okay? So he is saying Param Brahma, Param Dhama. Dhama is what? Foundation. Because Bhagavan says everything is in me. I'm not in everything. Neither anything is in me, nor I'm anything. I'm like space, and that's like atmosphere. That he has mentioned, verse number 6. Chapter 9, we have had a look at it. So he's saying Param Brahma, Param Dhama. He was the ultimate foundation of all realities you mentioned. The Apara Prakritis, Ashtadha, and the Para Prakriti, and their Karyas, Mana, Buddhi, Ahankara, Sansara, all the subjective and objective realities, everything. You are the foundation. You are the source, you are the master, you are the Niyamaka, Niyanta, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan, and you purify everything. Why? Because Bhagavan says that this sattva, if you know, all your papas are washed away. How? Because papa comes out of what? Inability to know the truth. You commit wrong things because you don't know how to do the right things. Why we don't know how to do the right things? Because we do not know what is right and what is wrong. So we don't have to start with Nitya Vastu Viveka. So we do a lot of things at a surface level. So Bhagavan is Pavitra, Parama Pavitra. Why? Because this particular tattva, once a person knows, he gets moksha. Therefore, it's most pavitra because it washes away your sanchita karmas at one go. Prarabdha karma, depending on mononasa, we have studied that. Prarabdha karma will show some impact externally if Tattva Darsana has happened, but mononasa hasn't happened. Tattva Darsana, you have studied, you have understood what is Brahma Tattva, you are doing sadhana, but you haven't had complete destruction of your subjective or mental processes. So then you suffer a little, apparently. Internally, you know this is all delusional. Maybe corona, maybe a break in your family, or some quarrel, or tax raids, or anything you can face. But you're not bothered. You know what is the ultimate truth. And then when the body falls, you get videha mukti. But there are certain people who get complete jivan mukta avastha because they also have manonasha. They also kind of destroy. Not only the ignorance is destroyed, but any ability of this ignorance, of previous ignorance, to cause any mental processes anymore is kind of put to an end, and therefore he gets complete liberation, even though he has a body. And then he says, Paramam Bhavan, you are the ultimate thing. Purusham Saswatam. So you are the, that Chit Sakti, you are the pure consciousness, and you are without a beginning and end. We are mortals. Mortals in what sense? As physical bodies, as minds, as social identities, we are mortal. As pure consciousness, we are also not mortal. We are all immortal. Saswatam, Divyam, Adi Devam. You are Divya because you are beyond these material spheres. You are beyond the atmosphere, beyond even the physical sky. So there you are Divya. Because he has mentioned, all right, this Divya Prakriti, those who do not know me, they confuse me as Vasudeva. That Divyata comes out of what? I transcend everything. That others don't know. Bhagavan has mentioned that earlier. So Divyam. Adi Devam. He has just now mentioned that these Maharshis and Devatas don't understand me because I am the beginning of all these Devatas. He's just repeating what he has heard from Bhagavan, he's paraphrasing and hinting to Krishna, oh my teacher, I have done very hard work. I have attentively listened to all that you have told me, and please appreciate that I am trying very hard to understand you. He's saying Divyam Ajam Bibhum. What is Bibhu? Bibhu which is Sarva Vyapaka, anything, Bibhu Padartha. Okay, you are Bibhu, you are Sarva Vyapaka, Shukshma, you are not like a physical being or anything. Then Ahu Tvam Rishayah Sarve. All these adjectives I have mentioned, it's not in my words. These are also mentioned, stated, remembered, and meditated often by the greatest of sages. Why Arjuna is mentioning it here? Because he's in the war field. What is he trying to tell Bhagavan? He's saying, look here, I have done my academic homework. I have studied a lot of writers and authors. Arjuna is giving evidence, like in HR people, if you bluff to an HR guy, so he doesn't actually get affected. He'll quietly ask a question where he'll try to verify what you said is true or false. It's like you say that, what's your greatest achievement? And you'll say, uh, I made a couple of billions from my company, and then, you know, then they said, oh, really? That's very interesting. Which year was this? And they will try to, and they say, oh, I see. So, and they know your data is right. You are working in a company, and that company actually may not have made more than a few million. You're saying that you added a couple of billions to their turnover. They know you're bluffing, right? So here he is kind of intelligently mentioning to Bhagavan. He's also giving evidence without telling that, look here, he's not boasting. He is a very bright, intelligent student. And there is a management lesson here that whenever you are presenting your case, how you mention that without appearing boastful, you are already giving evidence for how good you are. That's what Arjuna is doing here. Intelligent guy. He's saying Ahu Tvam Rishayaha Sarave. So basically, he's familiar with the writings and sayings of great intelligent academic scholars or the rishis. Rishis are great scholars. Rishayah Sarave. Devarshi Naradas Tatha. Then he's also hinting, look here, either I have met Narada, I have talked to him, and he's one of the greatest jnanis. And rishis are mentioned. Why Devarshi Narada is mentioned again? Because you know he's the son of Brahma and he's a Manasuputra. He has no death. He's as good as a god. So he's a Devarshi. He's a Rishi, but he's not a physical being. He's not a human being. He's a god. And therefore he says, Devarshis Naradas Tatha. He also has worshipped you in the Narada Bhakti Sutras and several other texts in which he has mentioned. He kind of has also mentioned things about you which are basically describing you as Param Brahma, Param Dhamma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. Purusha and Shashvata, Divya and Adideva and all that. Asito Devalo Vyasaha. Now he's specifically quoting evidence that he has read few scholars. Who are they? And very important, powerful people he's mentioning. It's like you are mentioning certain references in an interview, or you are making a business presentation. You are mentioning a few of your clients whom the new client knows are extremely demanding clients with which, just imagine, you have gone to a company, okay? You are making a tech presentation, you'll give them a solution. And you are saying that you have worked with, let's say you are mentioning that I have worked with the defense ministry. They have also worked with the defense ministry. They know how difficult it is to get the payment, how difficult it is to impress the defense people, because they're over conscious, over suspicious, takes a long time to clear any bill. And you're saying you worked. And they smile and said, so how long it took you to get your payments? You say that no, no, it was linked, it was performance linked, and therefore, depending on what we deliver, we used to have automatic payments. And they are very impressed with you. They hire you. It's like that. So he's mentioning some specific evidences about how sincerely he has been a good student, about it's not first time hearing about God from God himself. He has in fact done some secondary literature survey before he came to the war. He came here as a fighter, but he is a very good student of the spiritual tradition of India. That is what he's hinting. How does he do it? He's saying Asito, Asita. There is the name of one great rishi or author. Devalo is another great thing. And then this Devala is actually the elder brother of Bhumya or somebody who is also one of the fighters there, and Vyasa, Vyasadeva, who is actually the writer of Bhagavad Gita because it's Mahabharata, part of Mahabharata, is saying Vyasa. And then Swayam cha eva bravisimi. And you yourself, sir, I'm not lying to you. It's like you tell to the company and you said that, sir, and in your last 5 years annual reports I surveyed, you are also mentioned that you encourage research and development in these areas, and that is part of your mission. And indirectly, you're saying, I'm one who is working in that area, so I'm somebody who is aware of your tradition and what you encourage. If I'm making this presentation, I'm not a fool who has jumped into this hall boardroom looking for money. I'm here because I have similar likings and dislikings and have similar skill sets that you yourself have been trying to encourage, and you would be happy to do business with me, isn't it? This similarly, Bhagavan saying, oh Lord, I'm not trying to please you, I'm not trying to flatter you, I'm not trying to sort of extract any compassion or help or reward from you by telling some pleasing stories about you. These things you yourself have mentioned to me in chapter 7, 8, and 9, even earlier. Isn't it so? So he's saying, Swayam cha eva bravishimi. You yourself are also saying the same thing, that this whole sansara is in me, I am not in them. And then you flipped and said, actually, neither they are in me nor I am in them. But the relationship is between That between the atmosphere and the sky appears to support as if it's holding the atmosphere, but actually there is no physical relationship. The Brahman supports everything, not as a cardboard or a whatever. It's not a board on which people are standing or anything. This is the Adhisthana because beyond this there is nothing. All these are appearances. That is how Bhagavan has himself mentioned, and Arjuna is sort of repeating it to them. And then in the verse number 14, he's saying, "You said it to me," and then you know what? He's building confidence. These are great communication techniques from a management point of view. And I was very impressed and I was looking at it. Sarvam etam ritam manne. I consider whatever you have told about yourself to be true. I don't suspect whatever you have mentioned about you to be false. I don't think, sir, that you are saying that your company is doing this and that. And I take that very seriously. I don't think you are telling me lies. Okay, so he's saying Sarvam etam ritam. Ritam vadisyami, satyam vadisyami. Ritam has also an association with what is doable, what is good to do in that sense. So he's saying all that you are saying is not only true, but something that one must obey and emulate and follow, and I consider that way. Yan mam badasi Keshava, O Lord, O Keshava. And then you are the one. The Keshava word is beautiful, and there is a beautiful interpretation of it given by Madhusudana Saraswati. He is basically saying Ka and Isha. Ka is the beginning, so Ka is referring to Brahma, and Isha is Lord Shiva. Lord Brahma and Shiva both think themselves to be worthy of your compassion, means you're obedient and sort of are obliged to you. Who am I? So you are Kesava. That's an interpretation is giving. O Keshava, nahi te bhagavana viktim. Te means yours. So your vyakti, what is the lakshana? What is the nature? What is your dharma? What you are capable of? You have mentioned all that to me. This you yourself have mentioned. Na devaha viduhu. They don't know. Even the wise, the gods, they don't know. So Danava, even the so-called Devatas and Danavas are brothers, aren't they? They are. So they neither of them know. They neither Devatas know who you are, nor the Danavas. Why? Because you are the primary source of all of them, and they are full of ego. And you yourself said that whosoever has that ego can never understand who am I, because they have not surrendered to you. They are very proud of their own status as powerful people, or so-called subtle-bodied people like the Devata. We are the human beings who are sandwiched in between, and they don't understand you. And then in the next four slokas, he will then again sort of request Bhagavan to make it easier for him to meditate on him. Okay, now I'll stop here and I will explain. We will sort of do an analysis of what is said by the great scholars who are explaining these three verses. Yothoktam Bhagavata Vibhutim Yogam Cha Sritva Arjuna Uvacha Param iti. So all this which Bhagavan mentioned to him till now about what is Buddhi Yoga, why he gives it and whom he gives it, how that benefits these people, how their ignorance is removed, he heard all that, did not make much out of it, except that he is able to capture a few adjectives as some superficial knowledge about who Bhagavan is, but he hasn't got it because he has mentioned, I'll give you Jnanam, Savijnanam. The Vijnana part is the technology, know-how part, so he's focusing on that. Please tell me how to get you with full technical details. So Arjuna Vacha Paramiti, Param Brahma, Paramatma. Param Brahma is very simple, Shankaracharya says, is Param Atma. Dhamam Param Tejaha. So what is Dhama? Okay, there are Dhama. Madhusudana Saraswati will do a little beautiful modification of this analysis because Dhama always refers to a foundation. But here Shankaracharya by Dhama he is meaning Param Tejaha. That means Prakasha Swarupa. Dhamma is that foundation of not truth or existence of foundation, but which is Prakash Rupa, that source light out of which we derive all our understandings, and that is the foundation for our wisdom, which will liberate us. In that sense, Paramatejaha. Then the word Pavitram. What is the meaning of Pavitram? Shankaracharya says Pavanam, Paramam Prakrishtam. Excellent, superior to everything. Bhavan Purusham Saswatam, Nityam, Divyam, Divi. So, what is that Bhagavan? Saswatam. The Saswatam means Nitya. And what is Divi? He says, Divyam. What is that? Purusham Saswatam, Divyam, Adi Devam, Azam Vibhum. So, he's explaining Divi. Bhavam Adi Devam Sarva Devatanam Adau Bhavam Devam Ajam. So you are there before any god has come into picture, and therefore you are Adi Deva, and then you are Ajam because you have no birth. Okay, Bivum. Bhivavana Seelam. So you are the one who sort of makes existence possible. Bhivavana Seelam, and therefore you are Bibhu. That is how he explains this verse. And then Ahu Swam Rishaya Sarve Devarshinamna. Okay, first let's also at the same time do the Madhusudana. Evam Bhagavato Vibhutim Yogam cha Sritva. Vibhuti and Yog के बारे में सुनकर श्रुत्वा Parama Utkantitaha Arjuna Ubacha. He has a great curiosity to know how to practice the science that he has heard. And he's asking, Param Brahma Param Dhamaha. And here, Madhusudana, he's a very great scholar, so he brings in always an innovative way of looking at the same thing from two, three new standpoints. So in Dhamma is always Astraya. Why are you reducing it to Chetana or consciousness, stuff like that? So he's saying, Dhamma Astrayaha Prakasho Va. So he sort of widens the way we can understand the word Dhamma. Dhamma is that thing which is asraya. So we call Puri Dhamma, Ajodhya Dhamma, Kashi Dhamma, whatever. It is a asraya, a refuge, a foundation, prakasova, or something which sort of dispels our darkness, our ignorance. So that also can be Dhamma. Okay? Param Dhamma Yotihi. So this is Nilakanta says, and he what he is saying that प्रकाशो वा परमं पवित्रं पावनं भवान् एव यतः पुरुषं परमात्मनं शाश्वतं सर्वदा एकरूपं दिवि परमे व्योम्नि स्वस्वरूपे नभं दिव्यं सर्वप्रपञ्चातीतम् आदि च सर्वकारणं देवं च द्योतनात्मकं स्वप्रकाशकम् आदिदेवम् अत एव अजं विभुं सर्वगतं तम आहु इति संबंधः. So in one sentence he sort of explained the whole thing. Let's break it and just look at it. First thing he's saying that Purush Paramatmanam Saswatam. You are the Atma Rupa and you are Nitya, you are Saswata. And then what he says, he's saying that Sarvada Eka Rupam, there is no modifications because you are not Prakriti. Prakriti, again, there is, you have Prakriti Vikriti, right? Mula Prakriti, and then you have these things which are both Prakriti as well as Vikriti. They are Karana as well as Karya that we have studied earlier. Vaidikuram Divi Parame Vyomni. So in the Akasa, Swa Surupe Navam. Okay. Divyam Sarva Prapancha Atita. What is the Prapancha? This Prapancha is whatever is Vistrita, whatever is manifest, the external reality. And you are Prapancha Atita. You are beyond this expanded, manifest physical reality. You are beyond this prapanchatita. And therefore, you are Adihi Sarvakaranam Devam, and you are the cause of all these. That sort of God you are, that sort of Chetana you are. So, Devatanatmakam Shwo Prakasam Adi Devam. So, you are Shwo Prakasam. You don't need somebody else to declare your presence. You don't need anyone, any other light to shed light on you because you are Atma. You are Shwo Prakasa Rupa. Like a lamp enters a dark room, it lights up the whole room. You don't need a torchlight to discover the lamp. The lamp lights up everything, also declares his presence. The Chaitanya declares everything, also declares his presence. You don't need any additional external support to make sense of that Atma Vastu. Because the moment you talk like this, there will be duality. So there will be Brahman, and to know Brahman, there will be another Nor, another Chaitanya Satta. Then duality comes. That is why it is refuted in an intelligent fashion. Okay, so Vibhum Sarvagatam Tvam Ahu iti Sambandha. So they call you as Sarvagata. This is the description. And then, okay, so there is one sentence from Anandagiri. I don't want to get into the details, but I just want to mention this is very important. This is an introduction to the all seven slokas. He says something very interesting. निरस्त अशेष विशेषम निरूपाधिकम सोपाधिकम च सर्वात्मत्वादि भगवत रूपम तदि फलम च श्रुत्वा निरूपाधिक रूपस्य प्राकृत बुद्धि अनवगाह्य उक्तिपूर्वकम मंदानुग्रहार्थम सर्वदा सर्वबुद्धिग्राह्यम सोपाधिकम रूपम विस्तरेण श्रोतुम इच्छन् पृच्छति इत्याह. All that he's saying is like this. He has heard about Bhagavan's Nirupadhika and Shopadhika Rupa. Bhagavan said that in chapter 8 I mentioned how to meditate on me. As Omkara you meditate. I gave you some ideas. These are Sopadhika Rupas. 7th chapter also he mentioned his Paraprakriti, Aparaprakriti. And in 8th chapter he mentioned what is that Adhibhautika, what is Adhijagya, what is Adhideva. He has mentioned Adhidaiva, all that. These are Bhagavan Sopadhika Rupas. And then chapter 9 he mentioned, look, ultimately the truth lies in your ability to understand my Nirupadhika Rupa. And that is what he explained the verse 4, 5, and 6. That everything is in me, I am not in anything. Actually, nothing is in me, and I am not in anything. Then what? How is the Srishti? He said, look, the relation between atmosphere and the space, Akasha and Vayu Mandala, that kind of relationship. So I am with everything, but I am not connected with anything. I am the foundation, everything, but don't see me as kind of a physical platform on which everything is dancing. So Bhagavan is essentially hinting that his Satta Swarupa is beyond all names and forms. Arjuna heard all this, both Sopadhika and Nirupadhika. Bhagavan says the ultimate freedom is going to come to you. If you are able to meditate, understand, and do vichara of my Nirupadhika Rupa, that ultimate thing. What is Anandagiri saying is that having heard all these technical details about what is the Brahma Tattva, Arjuna, on behalf of the human beings, all of us, who are dull minded, I would like to look at it that way because Arjuna is actually very sharp. He's behaving as if he's a dull student. And he's asking this question, oh Lord, I understand, sir. But my friends are very foolish who are doing this satsang. Can you explain in simpler terms about your Sopadhika Rupa so that they can meditate on you? So Bhagavan will mention in this Vibhuti Yoga, he, his visible names and forms as part of his Vibhuti, his multiple presences, his multiple manifestations, so that we foolish, dull-minded students of Vedanta can get benefited out of doing Bhagavad Gita Adhyayana by being able to meditate on him without getting stuck with extremely difficult philosophical elaborations, which Bhagavan has done in chapter 7, 8, and 9. Is that clear? This is what he's saying, Anandagiri. He's saying, having heard that, he's saying, Sopadikam Rupam Bistarena Shrotam Ichan. He wants to hear about his Sopadhika Rupa. Bhagavan will go back to discussing his Nirupadhika Rupa in chapter 13 in a big way. And also in chapter 12, we will get a hint of it. In chapter 15, we are going to get a hint of it. He will keep repeating. He'll keep pulling the student up to a higher level of contemplation. But he keeps in mind the last benchers whose needs are different. They cannot do all these mathematical analysis of what is Brahman. They need certain easy ways. They need a mala, they need to do Harinama Sankirtana. Bhagavan has to also take care of their needs. And therefore, on behalf of all of us, Arjuna has asked this question to me. These two sentences are very beautiful. Then, after this, what Shankaracharya says is about verse number 13 is like this Idrisha Ahuhu. Look, the way I describe you in the verse number 12, this is how the monks and the devatas, they have also described you. Ahusvam Risheha Sarve, all the rishis have described you, including Devarshi Narada, Asito, Devala, Vyasa. These three great monks have also described you like that. Swayam cha eva bravishime, and you're also saying the same thing to me. So I am not saying, so he will later on say, but these things are too difficult for me. Why don't you simplify? Tell me in real terms what it means. Don't give me a project concept and a log frame. So managers, those are project proposal writers, they will come a results framework, and they'll do a log frame and say, this is the logical framework, these are the inputs, and this is the means, your institutional arrangement, these are the outputs, these are the result indicators you monitor. It's very difficult for anyone who is a very normal new guy to understand. The investor will go mad. He said, okay, ठीक है, बोलो क्या करना है? No, sir, basically it means that you have to buy this land, you have to hire so many guys. Okay, wo bolo. That's what he says. Because he doesn't understand all this. But they have to do their business, isn't it? Similarly, Bhagavan has mentioned in philosophical terms what is the Brahma Tattva. Arjuna is saying, ठीक है sir, करना क्या है? किसके ऊपर ध्यान करना है? सरलता पूर्वक बताइए. So Bhagavan will say. And then Shankaracharya explains his Idrisam Ahuhu. They talk like this about you, Ahu. Tvam Rishayaha. They talk. Who are they? Vasishtadayaha, all the rishis like Vasishta. Sarve, all the Devarshi Naradas Tatha. Asito, Devarshi Narada talks like this. Asita takes like this. Devala talks. Devala api evam aha. Vyasascha, also Vyasadevas talk like this. Swayam cha evam tvam cha eva bravishimi. And you are saying the same thing to me. So I'm not lying. And then sort of Anand, our great commentator Madhusudana, he's just kind of adding a little ahu pathayanti tvam ananta mahimanam. They have also described as you are with ananta mahima, infinite greatness. Risayaha tattva jnana nishtaha. Those who have atma nishta in what? Tattva jnana, self knowledge. Okay, Sarve Bhrugu Vasishtadaya. He adds the name of Bhrugu because Madhusudan is an extremely intelligent scholar. Bhagavan says, among all the saints, I am Bhrigu, isn't it? So he adds that. Bhrigu Vasishtadaya Tatha Devarshi Naradaha Asita Devalasya Bhumyasya Jeshta Bhrata Vyasasya Bhagavan. So Devala talks like who is Bhumya's elder brother and Lord Vyasa himself, who is the Jnana Sakti avatar of Bhagavan. Ichha Sakti is different, right? Ichha, and then he is the Jnana Sakti thing. Okay, so he's Kriya Sakti, Jnana Sakti. So like Rama and Krishna, these are all Kriya and other things, isn't it? Also, Krishna is a Ichha, Jnana, and Kriya. Everything he represents. But if you look at Vyasadeva, he represents the Jnana Sakti, analytical power of divinity, and he's one of the 24 avatars of Vishnu. So he's saying that Bhumyasya Jeshta Bhrata Vyasasya Bhagavan Krishna Dvaipayana is now bringing that idea because he was a dark guy born on the that Dvipa. He was born on an island from that fishing woman was Vyasa's mother Satyavati, and then he said Etepi Twam Purvakta Visheshena Mam Mahyam Ahuhu. You are also saying Sakshat Kim Anyehi Bhaktrivi. What to talk about others? I have heard it from the horse's mouth. You have yourself mentioned all that to me. Swayam eva tvam cha mahyam bravishi atra rishitvepi sakshad bhaktrinam. So there are so many people are there, but you yourself have said it. Oh bhaktrinam naradinanam ati vishishtvatvat prithak Prithak Grahanam. Why Narada mention is referred to differently, he is basically giving a little importance because he is a Devarshi or the Vishishta. Therefore, definitely, in addition to mentioning Maharshayaha, he is adding Narada. And look at the verse number 14. Sarvam etam ritam manni. I consider all this to be true. Yan ma badasi kesava. Yan, it is yat. Because there is anunasika, it becomes na. Yat mam tvam badasi he Keshava. Nahi te bhagavan vaktim. Vyaktim. So all these people, Vidur Deva na Danava. Neither Deva nor Danava, they know you. And how Shankaracharya elaborates it. Sarvamiti. Sarvam etad yathukta rishivihi tvaya. Either the rishis and through the rishis and through you cha tadritam Tad ritam satyam eva manne. I consider all that to be true. Yan mam prati vadasi bhasase. Whatever you have mentioned to me, O Keshava, hey Keshava, nahi te tav bhagavan vyaktim prabhavam vidur na deva na danavaha. You know why he is saying it? Why is a very beautiful sentence? You think about it. The Vedanta Tattva, Bhagavan he said, I'll give you Jnanam Sa Vijnanam, Anubhava Sahitam. I'm not giving you bookish knowledge, but I'll give you direct knowledge as it is. Why? I'm Jnana Satta Swarupa. I am the embodiment of consciousness, of knowledge. You hear it from me, what is that Atma Tattva? Because I'm Atma Eva. Now he is mentioned. Look at the profundity, look at the depth of the sentence. It's so neatly interconnected and driving home the Vedantic standpoint that Atma Sakshatkara cannot be expressed through somebody else's mouth. We are doing all this for exercise purpose. But actual Atma Darshana is beyond any, it's aporokshanuriti, it's direct perception. It cannot be, narrated by somebody and you can't listen and get it. So for Abhyasa, it's all fine. It's like a coach tells you how to play. But what is batting? Only the batsman knows, isn't it? Similarly, what is Atma Tattva? Only the Atmajnani will know. And therefore, he's saying, Sarvam etam dritam manne, janmam vadasi kesa, whatever you have said, I have. And because he's saying, all these people have also said it, I've heard. But truth of the matter is, they don't know you. Why? You yourself have mentioned it to me. The Maharshis and Devatas also have talked about you in very high terms. What is Atma? But I don't care for them so much because I value what you say because you are able to know who you are yourself. That will come in next verse. Swayam evat manatmanam vetthatvam purushottama. You only are able to know who you are with your own self. The consciousness is able to realize about itself through itself. It's, as Hegel said, what is idea? Pure thought thinking about itself. That is what is German philosopher. A lot of people say that he had stolen a lot of ideas after studying Indian philosophy, but he never acknowledged. So he's saying that Nahi te Bhagavan Vyaktim. They don't even know you properly. Therefore, what you say, I consider to be truth. So Madhusudan Bhagavan says, Shankaracharya says, Sarvam etad yathokta rishibhi tvaya na cha tad ritam satyam eva manne janamam prativadasi bhasase he kesava nahi te tava Bhagavan vyaktim prabhavam vidur na deva na danava. They don't know you. That is how he is mentioned. And if you look at sort of Madhusudana Saraswati, we have 3 more minutes. We'll be able to finish it. Sarvam etad uttam rishivishcha tvayacha. What you have mentioned, all the rishis that have mentioned about what is Brahman Tattva, tadritam satyam eva aham mani. I know that is true. Yan man prati vadasi kesava, whatever you are mentioning, whatever you are giving me, I am just slapping it up. Nahi Tvad bachasi mama putra api apramanya ashanka. I don't have any doubt regarding the validity of what you are telling me. I know that is all true. Tacha sarvakyatvat tvam janasi iti. Of course, you know all that you're talking about. Why? Because you're Sarvakya. You're Sarva Shaktiman. You're Sarva Vidyaman. You are the creator of this universe. So why should I doubt you? And then he says, he sort of gives an elaboration as to why he has that faith. Keshav Brahma Rudra Ka. Ka is that, Brahma, and Isha is that Rudra, Brahma Risho. Sarveshav Api Anukampyataya. They also see themselves as deserving your grace. That means sort of Anugata, so far you are concerned. Ba Atyavagachati iti. So they sort of see themselves as deserving candidates of your compassion. Means what? They are inferior to you. And therefore you are the Parameshwara. Avagachati iti. Vyutpatim astritya niratisaya aishwarya pratipadakena kesavapadena suchitam. So because I told you he does a bit of vyutpati or analysis of the words to drive home some extra meaning. So he's saying by addressing Bhagavan as Keshava, he's essentially establishing his superiority to the Shiva Tattva and the Brahma Tattva. And that he is the Parameshwara. Okay, that is what he has mentioned here. And Kesavapadena Suchitam Ata Yad Uktam Na Me Viduhu Suragana Prabhamam Na Maharshayaha. And you yourself have said that Maharshis and Devatas don't know me, and therefore I don't trust them. Tatha eva hi Yasmat He Bhagavan. Okay? Samagra Aishwaryadi Sampanna Te Tava Vyaktim Prabhavam Jnana Atisaya Salina Api Deva Na Viduhu. So therefore, even though Devatas have some some expanded field of knowledge, they're experts. They know much more than we humans do. However, they still don't know you, and you yourself have indicated to me. No viduhu, napi danava, nor the danavas. They don't also know you. Na maharshi itepi drashtavya. Even the maharshis don't know you. So till now, Arjuna has, what has he done? He has indicated to Bhagavan that he has captured the key. There is something called Lakshya and Lakshana, as Anandagiri mentioned. Let me just do that and finish. We have 1 more minute. So, what is Lakshya? So, you look at the sky and you are asking me to look at your fingers, and you say, there is the polar star. Now, this particular finger, which is pointing at the polar star, is not the polar star. This is the Lakshana. You're saying the polar star is like this, it's in the north direction. You look at it at this hour of the night, you can see it. This is the Lakshana. And you're saying you're going to Badrinath, so it's going to be there. So Kedarnath will say, okay, you'll go. There is Fata, you have to walk, and there'll be some people who are having ponies, then you have to walk 15, 20 kilometers, you'll reach there. That is what is Kedarnath. This is the Lakshana. Lakshya, that particular destination. So that Param Brahma he mentions in the beginning. What is that? Param Brahma, the verse number 12, if you look at it, Param Brahma, that is the Lakshya. Then Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam, Bhavan, Purusham, Saswatam, Divyam, Adi Devam, Ajam, Vibhum. What are these? These are Lakshanas. These are descriptions of the Sopadika name and form of Bhagavan, meditating on which we can reach the destination, or what is the point of direction, what these things are pointing at, because that has no name and form. And therefore, that is the Lakshya. These are the Lakshanas. Okay, so I think we'll stop here today and we'll take it forward on Monday. Till then, I am stopping the YouTube, and any questions you can ask.